Hi everyone, welcome to the muster drill. I'm Scott and we've got an update from Carnival. Hi everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be bringing you a video update from Carnival Cruise Line's president, Christine Duffy. I love Christine. So so she's going to be talking about, all the things that Carnival's been doing during their restart, and it's an interesting watch. So we're going to be throwing that in there, but before we throw it in there, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with the restart. As most of you know, I have been on a few Carnival cruises since the restart, and I have found that entire experience to be really no different than than pre-COVID. I've mentioned that many times. So in any event, so Christine's going to go over all of this stuff that, Carnival did and has done and stuff through the restart. And, one of the things she touches on in that, and I'm going to go a little bit further into, when we come back from that, is, the upcoming possible approval of vaccines for children 5 to 11, and how that's really going to, in my opinion, affect or the direction it's going to take the restart in. So we'll get to that video from Christine. So here it comes.
In March of 2020, the U.S. cruise industry did the unthinkable. We completely halted our operations. And the unthinkable turned into the unimaginable as we paused for more than 15 months. Finally, in July of 2021, Carnival Cruise Line got back to do what we believe we do better than anyone else, welcoming our guests for a well-deserved and always fun cruise vacation. Since our first restart sailings on Carnival Vista from Galveston, Texas on July 3rd, followed by Carnival Horizon on the 4th of July, much has been accomplished and there's been much to celebrate, including introducing our beautiful new ship, Mardi Gras. And just like we had never completely stopped our guest operations, we had never completely restarted them from scratch either. 3 months later, we now have 11 ships, almost half of our U.S. fleet back sailing with guests on board. Last year, you'll recall, we repatriated more than 30,000 Carnival Cruise Line team members back to their home countries. That was no easy task. As challenging as that process was actually easier than what it has been like to get our crew members back on board and ready for guest operations, which included having to get everyone vaccinated, quarantined, and trained on many new protocols and procedures. We reopened operations from 7 of our U.S. home ports, more than any other cruise line. Now that has not only involved training, it has involved reimagining the check-in process, and of course, hosting all of our Back to Fun celebrations. We printed new signage, lots of new signs, at the terminal and on board the ship, all to make sure the new guidelines were easily understood by our guests and followed. And the updates and investments that we made to our HUBAPP during the pause have made it much easier for our guests and team members on board. We've taken lots of calls, and we recognize hold times have been sometimes impossibly long. And for that, we must sincerely apologize. We know there has been a great deal of frustration and also confusion that drove a lot of this call volume because of the changing nature of requirements around vaccinations and testing. We have worked hard to make our Have Fun, Be Safe page on Carnival.com the centralized place for our guests and travel advisors to stay informed with up-to-date information. We really appreciate the patience of our guests as we've worked through the guidelines that are always subject to change. We've worked hard to accommodate as many children and unvaccinated guests as possible under the current guidelines. And as the public health situation improves with the expansion of vaccines, we look forward to welcoming more and more families back on board just as soon as we can. Having said all that, the Carnival team has done a remarkable job at both getting us back to guest operations while delivering on the fun. In many ways, the numbers speak for themselves, whether it's the number of guests we've sailed since we started or the number of Guy's burgers we've served. How many people have ridden on our new Bolt roller coaster on Mardi Gras, or a host of other activities on board. Certainly, financial and business performance is important, but there's another, in many ways, more important way of measuring our progress and success that has nothing to do with the numbers. It's knowing how much happiness we are generating for and from our guests and for and from our crew, from the communities we sail and from the destinations we visit, and from the tens and hundreds of thousands of people whose jobs depend on our companies and our cruise industry's success here in the U.S. 17 ships and 9 U.S. home ports in total for Carnival Cruise Line will restart by the end of the calendar year. We will continue to bring back our fleet until all 24 ships are back in service. And we will continue to operate in ways that protect and promote the health and safety of our guests, crew, and the places our ships visit. So while this is a quick 3-month progress report, our eyes remain squarely on the horizon as we continue to look toward the future. And we want to make sure that all of our loyal guests, employees, business partners, and stakeholders continue to benefit from our return. Thank you and stay safe. As we've said since the start of this, we are Carnival and we are back.
So there's the information from Christine Duffy, president of Carnival. There's, all the, the highlights, as she said, quick recap of, everything that Carnival has done in the last, several months during their restart and what they had done to get ready for the restart. So, yeah, I mean, and like I had mentioned before, there's, several cruise lines now are, looking at, what they're going to be doing as far as, this upcoming potential approval for the Pfizer vaccine, the Pfizer COVID vaccine for children 5 to 11, and how that's going, to affect them going forward. Obviously, we're going to see way more kids on the ship. And, I think that there's been a decent amount of kids. The few ships that I've been on so far, I think there's been a decent amount of kids. Now, none of the kids clubs have been open that I've seen. I've walked past them several times, and they're dark. There's nobody in there. So, and I think I've seen a lot of little kids too. Like, for instance, when I was on the Pride, I think the first night there was like a game show or something like that. And one of the contestants was this little girl from Ohio, and she was there, and she was coming up and playing the games and stuff like that against an adult. I think she came up several times. So she was pretty little. I don't want to venture a guess how little she was, but she was definitely under 11. So, and I saw, probably kids that were, teenagers, young teenagers, older teenagers, and so forth. So in any event, that's really going to, obviously there's going to be way more kids on the ship when, should that vaccine get approved for them. And it's exciting. It's exciting to see, that the, lines are able to come back. Naturally they, they've never had to deal with something like this before. So, but I think they're doing a great job at, being in uncharted waters. I had said on another video before that if you're, it's a great time to cruise because the ships are not as full, and therefore, the experience I think is a little better. In any event, now would be a great time for you to get on the ship if you, because I think that they, in the coming months, probably around Christmas time and onward, they're going to get really full. So I think that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you like this video, please click that like button. And then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It won't cost you anything. You click that button once and you're done. It'll really help us out a lot. And then don't forget to click that notification bell so that you know every time we upload a new video. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.